He had a mind, which I want somebody on the judge like that, understands the Constitution and kept his head and answered the question.
Well, you know, it really is shameful, but I guess they shouldn't be surprised given what they're doing to even the president. But I want to move on to something that is incredibly important and that I want to continue to talk about going forward after tonight. And that is the Google, Twitter, Facebook, and what has been going on. You are at the tip of the spear in Congress as it relates to getting Google to come before you and answer some questions. Why and how far are you getting?
Well, understand this, Judge. I actually am the founder with another Congressman, Patrick McHenry, on the Innovation Initiative. I believe in technology, and I come from California, but I do not like bias towards conservatives. So this is something we've been working on some time. We've got the CEO of Twitter who came before us, where I give Jack credit, where he did admit that they did shadow ban conservatives, where he came out this week and he said,
explain what you mean to my viewers. Sorry, Kevin,
do not feel free.
Kevin, sorry. Explain to my viewers what you mean by shadow ban.
Shadow banning is they went through conservatives on Twitter, put some information out, long before they won't even know it's not going to all the followers. People don't see it. So it's just not, people aren't seeing it on the Twitter feed. Now think of this from Facebook. This is the problem I had too. What they did to Prager University. They banned when they talked about baseball or Israel.
Okay.
But the real concern I have today that I put out last week was Google. And your viewers have to understand 90% of all searches go through Google.
Okay.
And when you go to that second page of the information, 95% drop off. They control the information that we are seeing on the internet. And when you see the video that came forward the day
I want to
after
show
the election,
it right now. I want to show
crying.
it right now. It is a go ahead, guys. Can we put the sound on of what was going on at Google?
Let's face it, most people here are pretty upset and pretty sad for because of the election.
That was the first moment I really felt like we were going to lose, and it was this massive kick in the gut that we were going to lose, and it was really painful.
We'll be very strong and vocal, and not just from a press standpoint or a PR standpoint, but actually working hard behind the scenes.
And Congressman, that is the day after Donald Trump was elected. There is proof positive, if we had more time, that they hate conservatives, they hate Donald Trump. Can any conservative feel safe on Facebook, Twitter, and should they get information from Google?
Well, that's exactly what we're working towards, to stop the bias, because there's other concerns I have as well. You had what they called a silent donation, where they worked to actually get certain people to the polls to find out that they wanted Hillary to vote, what we saw there. But what's even more disturbing as an American, not just as a conservative as I am, Google stopped working with the U.S. military, but they worked with Russia and China. And it just came out. You know what they're doing in China? They created a search engine for them so the Chinese government can spy on the people using. And you know the words they're searching for? Human rights, student protest. But they won't work with the U.S. government. But they worked with Russia to take down things that dealt with Putin. This is what is wrong. The bias has got to stop. Remember when Google started? Remember what their motto was? They just recently took it down?
Do good.
Do no evil.
Do no evil. That's right.
Don't do evil.
Anyway, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, thanks so much. I want to have you back on this. This is a really important issue. Thanks so much. And joining me now to discuss the latest in the never-ending Mueller witch hunt, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton, one of the only men in D.C. who can actually get answers for the American people. Tom, I'm tired of always giving you kudos because
I'm not tired of it.
We're so proud of you, Tom. Now, listen. Now, the latest that we have is, now with the leaking, we've got the Strzok and the Page emails. Clearly, they are in a situation where they are intentionally trying to leak. They now say, don't believe your lying eyes. We were trying to stop the leaks. And they then actually pat each other on the back when they get negative stories about the president or Carter Page. Tell us what the latest is.
They talk about a media leak strategy, and they're saying the media leak strategy is to stop media leaks, which obviously doesn't make any sense. And there's news reports out this weekend saying that the leak of the dossier which they're talking about over unclassified systems. By the way, the dossier at the time was classified according to the FBI and DOJ. They say the leak of the dossier in the beginning of the Trump administration to CNN and BuzzFeed, they said, well, maybe we could use this as a pretext to go out and interview people. So this leak strategy, it looks like, that they know was happening. It was either coming out of their sister agencies. The FBI is acknowledged to be involved in stories. And of course, they knew that Christopher Steele was leaking information and Fusion GPS was leaking information. They didn't tell the FISA courts any of that. So they were spying on President Trump through Spygate. They were taking up the Trump organizations and the Trump campaign's phone records. They were targeting Carter Page with an illegal FISA warrant, targeting the Trump campaign, Trump with an illegal FISA warrant through this Page warrant. And as all part of that strategy was the leak, all of that classified investigative activity to the media to make Trump look bad. You know, I was laughing because this Google video, you could have had the same video be run by the videotaped at the FBI. That was the reaction of the FBI to the Trump victory, and we see what they tried to do. And the resulting investigation is this Mueller special counsel operation.
It's sick. It's sick. The whole thing is sick. And by the way, we have Carter Page coming up as the next guest. But what I find so incredible is that when this stuff is leaked, they actually come out. Peter Strzok, just like he did at the hearings, he says his lawyer comes out and says, oh, no, they were investigating leaks and they wanted to stop them. But we now know that there are text messages to each other about congratulating each other, that they're getting articles written, and the strategy's working is consistent with the articles coming out. What is coming next? I mean, how much worse is it going to get, Tom?
Well, these are text messages that they found that supposedly had been deleted. So there are emails that no one really has seen. They're slow walking the release of emails to Judicial Watch separately. There's the rest of that FISA application that the president, by all accounts, is prepared to declassify. Yeah. It's just a matter of when, not if. It's getting worse in terms of the underlying corruption. And my view is the president needs to stop it either through executive authority on his own or seek some sort of court action to stop this Mueller investigation. You know, Judge, if all the cops involved in a prosecution before you were doing this type of corruption, what would you tell the prosecutors? Get your case out of here and investigate the investigators.
I would absolutely do that. Anyway, Tom Fitton, thank you so much. And everyone, the word is that, you know, the declassification may happen soon. Anyway, Governor Mike Huckabee still ahead. But next, is President Trump ready to declassify documents that could shed explosive new light on the plot to frame him in the Russia investigation? I talk live next with one of the key figures in the Mueller investigations from the very beginning. Previously redacted sections of FISA applications against former Trump campaign associate Carter Page. Joining me now with his very unique perspective on all of this, including the Mueller investigation, the motivation behind it, former Trump campaign associate Carter Page himself. Your first visit on Justice, Carter. We are delighted to have you on. And so I want to start and move very quickly through this. You have been through so much. You know, we now know that the liars, the leakers, and the liberals in the DOJ, as well as the Department of Justice, want to frame Donald Trump and in order to impeach him. Do you wake up at night and say, this is a huge thing that's going on? How am I in the middle of this?
You know, it's like I often say, Judge Janine, it's not about me, it's about fixing the disaster that this has created for our country.
Well, how are you so tough? How are you so tough?
I have incredible support for people that have been doing a lot of work, including Tom Fitton and, you know, Judicial Watch and, you know, people in Congress like, you know, Chairman Nunes and Chairman Grassley that have been doing so much to try to get the truth out there. And, you know, you and your team at Fox, it's been incredible.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, let me ask you this. Do you ever wonder why it was so easy for them to accuse you? And by the way, this has been going on for years. You're still walking around. But do you ever worry, like, if they were going to frame the president, maybe they'll frame me too?
Oh, certainly they would definitely try. And actually, Congressman Congressman Schiff is constantly throwing out words about me, testifying incorrectly in front of Congress, et cetera. I mean, it's so preposterous. So.
All right. Now, Paul Manafort is put in solitary confinement 23 hours a day in an effort that I believe without a doubt was to break him. And right now, we realize that, they will do anything to break someone in order to get at this president. But the Strzok and the Page texts now make it very clear that they were leaking information about a FISA warrant involving you that no one in this country has ever seen in a newspaper before. Should these guys go to jail?
Judge Jeanine, it's funny. When I was in, Devlin Barrett from the Washington Post had a big report about me having various interviews with the FBI in March of 2017. The following months, they kept having these various leaks, which you're referring to. And I actually told them, similar to what Mr. Manafort's attorney said yesterday, he had a lot of security threats in various he's concerned about his safety. That's exactly what I told the FBI that month as well. So, it's really a terrible shame that instead of thinking about safety of Americans, they're concerned about political agendas. So,
well, but it's
really,
interesting. I see your tweet from today, and you say that you too have suffered death threats, Carter.
Absolutely, and I alerted the FBI to this in March. And sure enough, it was, as you correctly allude to, liars, leakers, and liberals. The following month, after I spent over 10 hours, as was illegally disclosed to the Washington Post later in the year, sure enough, I actually had additional death threats after that.
I'm so
when
sorry.
That came out.
Carter Page. Anyway, thank you so much for being with us. Keep the faith. Hang on. The truth comes out. And
absolutely.
A war of nasty words between the president and the former Secretary of State over Iran. We'll hash it out next with the panel. Dan Bongino
tweeting his condolences for the victims of Florence. Tweeting 5 deaths have been recorded thus far with regard to Hurricane Florence. Deepest sympathies and warmth go out to the families and friends of the victims. May God be with them. Meanwhile, officials have raised the death toll to 11 as Florence continues slamming the Carolinas with torrential rain, intense winds, and life-threatening storm surge. Thousands have been forced from their homes, and many don't know when they can get back to survey the damage. Crews rush to rescue people trapped by fast-moving floodwaters that are expected to worsen over the weekend. Some areas have already been hit with up to 2 feet of rain, and forecasters predict another 1.5 feet is likely to fall over the weekend. I'm Robert Gray. Now back to the judge.
He really is the rare combination of a 8-year-old boy. I mean, he's got the maturity of an 8-year-old boy with the insecurity of a teenage girl.
So that's President Obama's former Secretary of State responding to the president tweeting this earlier. John Kerry had illegal meetings with the very hostile Iranian regime, which can only serve to undercut our great work to the detriment of the American people. He told them to wait out the Trump administration. Was he registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act? Bad. My panel's ready to battle it out. NRA TV contributor Dan Bongino, former aide to Chuck Schumer, radio show host Chris Hahn, join me. All right, guys, so here's the deal. So you've got John Kerry having meetings with the foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, about the Iranian deal because he knows the president's going to can it, and 3 times they meet. Why isn't this a violation of the Logan Act, which prohibits an unauthorized American citizen from negotiating with a foreign government? Chris Hahn?
Because he wasn't negotiating. And I've got to ask the president, did he get together with John Kerry in an attempt to sell more books? Because he has done more for John Kerry's book sales than John Kerry would have done by going on every single show around the country.
Let's talk about the Logan Act.
Okay. I'm ready. Let's talk about it.
It prohibits an unauthorized American citizen from negotiating with foreign governments. What is he doing with the prime minister of Iran? Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know what Chris is talking about. Again, listen, the Logan Act is crap, okay? The Logan Act is garbage. It's crap. No one's been successfully prosecuted using the Logan Act in the history of the United States. Here's the problem, Judge. The Logan Act was the predicate for going after Lieutenant General Mike Flynn when Sally Yates was the Deputy Attorney General. So Chris cannot have it both ways. Pin him down on an answer right now. Either the Logan Act is crap, like he just said, and he will fully renounce and apologize to General Mike Flynn for this nonsense, or he's a total hypocrite. He's about to be exposed on your show.
Because I am an attorney.
Yes.
Mike Flynn was negotiating policy. John Kerry met a former colleague on the sidelines of a world event, and they said, what do I do about Trump? And he said, wait him out. That is different than saying,
wait a minute. He met him in Munich. He met him in addition to Munich, he met him in Norway. He meets him at the UN.
Right.
He even admits that he's talking to him about salvaging the Iran deal. That is negotiating with a foreign power.
He was not negotiating.
What was he doing? Just chatting? Is this like Loretta Lynch on the tarmac? Get me started?
Look. They're chatting. Just like you and I, when we go to parties, people want to talk politics with us. People want to talk
I am not the Secretary of State talking to the Prime Minister.
He's not the Secretary of State either.
He negotiated the deal. Go ahead, Dan, hit it.
This Judge, again, this is why people cannot stand liberals. I don't mind Democrats. It's liberals like Chris. Did you see the way he just snaked his way out of that? John Kerry did exactly what the definition of what a negotiation would be. He was involved in a dispute with the United States over the Iran deal. He was unauthorized. He went overseas and told the Iranians, an enemy of the United States, what to do to battle back against the Trump administration. In other words, wait a minute. What does Chris say? No, that wasn't negotiating.
I saw a polar bear the other day. I told him to wait it out.
Oh, please, stop making a joke. Let me ask you a question. Why would Kerry be so invested in this Iran deal? Is he invested
yes,
in it?
Of course he's invested in it. He's the one who got it together.
Then he would violate the Logan Act and the Foreign Agents Relations Act, by the way, which I guess doesn't apply to Democrats and only Republicans.
I think the president would do a good service by not making this a big deal and maybe calling Kerry in and getting some advice on what these Iranians are thinking.
We don't need Kerry's advice. We dumped it. Go ahead, Dan. Hit it.
Wait, Judge, get John Kerry's advice. Chris, did you miss the election where your whole crew got their butts booted out of office? What the hell do we want this guy's advice for? Wait, no, time out. Judge, this is the same guy we're supposed to take advice on tax policy from, John Kerry, who parks his boat in Rhode Island to avoid paying taxes. Chris, please, spare us the nonsense.
Speaking of boats, you want to talk about Swift Boat with John Kerry?
Oh, now that's a low blow, Judge.
That's not a low blow. That's appropriate.
No.
He's got a low blow.
Right now,
who is he to negotiate? And by the way, you know what I read? I read this guy, Foreign Minister Mohammed Javad Zarif's son, is the best man. Reports are at the wedding of John Kerry's daughter. What is the connection here? What is this? Why were they so desperate to make this deal with a country that is determined to destroy us?
I think they wanted to stop them from getting a nuclear bomb. And
really? Did that work?
I think it did.
Okay, I'll stay out of it. Go ahead.
I think it did, Judge.
All right, Dan, go ahead.
Judge, they put them on a pathway to a nuclear bomb. These people, did you miss the press conference by Netanyahu when the brave Israeli spies took out a treasure trove of documents literally showing how the Iranians are still building this bomb? Chris, do you even watch this channel? Do you watch the news ever? Did you miss this whole thing?
And what about Natanz and Fordo when they were spinning the centrifuges while they're negotiating with us and not even telling us they're spinning the fences? I mean, they lied. They want to kill us.
Hey, look, I think that the Iranians have to be watched closely, and I agree with that.
We don't have the ability under the monitoring. We cannot monitor the development, their nuclear development. We're not in the pack.
We pulled out of the pack now.
We didn't pull out of the pack.
The president has pulled us out of the pack.
All right.
And look, it was better than no pack.
All right, go ahead. Dan, last word. Now I'm
yeah, Chris.
exercised.
When we inspect the Iranian military facilities where they're most likely to build a bomb, we have to ask them their permission first.
Yeah.
And they provide like a guide for us. I'm sure they're going to bring us right to the nuclear bomb they're building.
Hey,
My gosh, you guys are so gullible.
Chris Hahn, why does it always end this way? Michael Moore's dire prediction for the 2020 election. Get ready to have a big laugh. Governor Mike Huckabee joins me next with that and more. The most outrageous